I purchased a 1990 Honda Prelude to replace the 1991 Prelude that could not be repaired after deer hit number 4 due to no parts available. The vehicle speed sensor on the 90 Honda Prelude was failing prior to the purchase. That didn't stop me because I had replaced the vehicle speed sensor on my 1991 Honda Prelude years before. A new replacement vehicle speed sensor was not available. It would cost me less than $15 to find out what was the difference between what I needed and what was available. This is the vehicle speed sensor I removed from my 1991 Honda Prelude. This is the vehicle speed sensor I removed from the 1990 Honda Prelude. I had some minor success rejuvenating the rotor magnet on the 1990 Honda Prelude vehicle speed sensor. Over this cutting board grid, I targeted the drive pin for the vehicle speed sensors, then grafted the bolt hole centers. I used this caliper to measure the inside diameter of the speed sensor drive pin housing. There is about a 1/4 inch difference between the positions of the center of the bolt holes of the new and old speed sensors. I cut slots to accommodate the bolt hole positions. Bushings attached to the mounting feet with RTV compensate for the difference in height. The inside diameter of the drive pin housing on this vehicle speed sensor is a little larger than the original. A piece of plastic bottle is used as a shim to compensate for the difference. Good diagonal cutters make clean edges. The extra flange was cut off prior to install. This is my 90 Honda Prelude. I accessed the area for the vehicle speed sensor by removing the distributor assembly and all of the air intake assembly, and I disconnected the air filter housing to allow it to be moved further back, and disconnected the hoses, the intake hoses, to the air filter housing, and that allowed it to be turned, because having a couple more inches where the intake duct for the air filter housing is located, being able to move that aside was very advantageous. Attempting to access the area from the back is much harder than going straight down and then across underneath of the different hoses that are down there. You can see the connectors there, and that's the connector for the vehicle speed sensor. You can see the top of the sensor there. The intake for the heater return goes almost over top of the vehicle speed sensor, and I was able to use a wrecking bar, and that held the heater return hose away from the vehicle speed sensor. Up on a ledge that is right beside where the hose goes and goes back to the vehicle speed sensor, you can see the sensor there, and there's the sensor there. It's hard to get it to focus because it's down in that area there, but that's it. Yep, I took off the distributor assembly, took off the intakes and outputs for the air filter housing and removed all the air intake assembly there, and it went straight down and then under all that stuff there. Another thing was the bracket that holds the connectors. On the original vehicle speed sensor, the bracket is on the driver's side of the assembly of the sensor. Because the replacement unit is taller and broader than the original, the bracket does not fit on the driver's side of the unit. So it was mounted on the bolt that's on the passenger side of the device. I used magnet, extended magnet to get the bolt in place and set it, and then use the extensions on the ratchets. Go ahead and torque it down. The last thing was also that because of the spacers that were used to get the right measurements, I needed to get bolts that were a little bit longer to compensate for the difference. And that's basically it. I forgot to reset my trip set after I got my gasoline. I noticed that about 6 miles after I'd filled up. So the mileage is actually around 108 miles on that amount of gas from the fill up. See, I'm not even down a quarter tank yet. The gas gauge is not linear. The vehicle speed sensor sends signals to engine management as well as to the speedometer and odometer. With a working speed sensor, you get way better gas mileage.